can put my hand on my heart and say that when I was younger, I used to think the idea of getting older was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen as I got older, but there were some things that just made me fear it. And I think part of that was knowing that my mum died quite young. She was only in her mid-50s when she died. So I think for me, in my mind growing up, mid-50s was old. Now I'm more than that now, I'm 60 next year. And I've had a complete and utter sort of 180 degree change in how I think about aging. And in this video, I thought I would share some of my thoughts on getting older, how I feel about it, what worries me, if anything, about it, and how I guess how I want to approach the next chapter going forward. Because I tell you what, there's no point in living with fear and worrying about it, because it's one of those few things in life that is guaranteed. Assuming you live long enough, you're going to get old. So we can fight it or we can embrace it. And I think I've now chosen to embrace it. Sorry, that was my phone going off. But before I get into my thoughts on aging, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that commented on my last video, which was a little bit of a downer, if I'm honest. I was talking about how difficult YouTube is, and it is, believe me, it is. And I was not thinking of quitting, but just feel a little bit kind of lost, I think, a bit displaced around what I wanted the channel to be. And I had some fabulous comments, some really relevant comments, and one that I know was not meant in any way to be a negative comment was one that said, you know, with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, particularly in the United States, because that's where this person was from, you know, there's a lot going on. And I can't remember exactly how the comment was worded, but it wasn't a negative comment at all. But it really made me sit down, or rather sit up and think, get some perspective here. This is a YouTube channel. It's not life and death. There are much bigger fish to fry out there in the world than whether or not my YouTube channel is doing well by my expectations. So thank you so much to the person that left that comment. You have no idea how useful it was and how helpful it was, just to get me, you know, give me some clarity and give me some perspective, because it's easy to get a little bit wrapped up in our own tiny little bubble of a world and forget that there are much more important things going on out there. So thank you so much for that. And thank you to everybody who gave me lovely feedback. Really appreciated it. I did pull myself out of that funk. And here I am a couple of days later, very happily recording. And you know what? I don't really care if nobody sees this. That's not true. I do care if nobody sees this, but I don't care if it doesn't blow up. If one person listens to this and gets something from it, that will make my heart sing. So let's get back on topic. So the whole aging conversation, you know, I do think there is a whole load of pressure put on women, especially in the Western world, to look a certain way, be a certain way, act a certain way as they get older. And with the best will in the world, we cannot defy nature, or at least not cheaply, not easily. And I think I had a realization as well that I can spend, if I wanted to, thousands of pounds to stay looking younger. I could have cosmetic surgery, fillers, facelifts, I could have tummy tucks and liposuction and loads of different treatments. You know, I could. The technology and the skills are out there that I could spend lots of money trying to look young. Or I could actually just spend that money doing things that make me feel young and not worry about the way my body looks. Now, there is an element of needing to do things to keep my body feeling young around eating well, exercise, managing my weight, all of things that I am definitely not brilliant at, but I do prioritize them, and I'm trying harder to prioritize them. But actually paying to do that in an artificial way, I think I could spend my money more wisely, making memories and having experiences and doing things that make me feel young, as opposed to spending money on things that will make me look young. This is not a judgy comment. This is purely my thoughts, and I have no judgment at all against anybody who wants to use the skills and the technology that are out there to make them feel better about themselves. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you feel like you want to have some kind of intervention to make you feel better about yourself, whether that's to make you feel like you look younger, or to make you feel like you look more attractive, or whatever your rationale is, that is absolutely your choice and your decision, and there is no judgment here at all, I promise. But for me, I just think I don't want to go down that route, and I have thought about it in the past. You know, I remember, 10-15 years ago, going and having a private consultation with the potential of paying to have a tummy tuck, because I didn't like my tummy after I'd had my children. I spent many years dyeing my hair. My hair went white in my 30s. Not as white as it is now, but I certainly, if I hadn't dyed it, would have been pretty much white from, you know, my mid-30s onwards. And it took me until COVID hit and I couldn't get to a hairdresser, and I got fed up dyeing it myself, to make the decision to just let it change to its own natural colour. So I'm not, you know, I'm not anti doing what you might want to do to make you look younger. That's not what I'm talking about. But as I head towards 60, I think I'm having a rethink, I suppose, about the things that are important to me. And looking young in that conventional sort of societal way that we feel like we're forced to, just isn't for me anymore. So I have got some notes on my phone because, you know, being nearly 60, I can't remember things. So yeah, the first one really was letting go of that pressure to stay looking young. Not staying young, but staying looking young. You know what I mean? So it's not about letting my body age and not doing anything to try and slow that aging process down, but not using any external interventions. Is that clear? I hope that's clear. So point 2, you know, what have I gained as I've got older in terms of things that I didn't have when I was younger that I feel I'm getting now that are really important to me. And when I think about them, make me realise that getting older has so many benefits that it's nothing to be frightened of. It's nothing to be terrified of. And I think a lot of it is that slowing down, not feeling the need to have everything happen with a sense of urgency, like time's running out, because time is running out. But sometimes I think we can be so busy trying to do all the things, be all the things to everybody, that actually we don't have that sense of being present where you can actually appreciate the things that are happening around you. Sometimes I think when we're younger, we race through life because we feel like it's so precious, but we miss out on the things that are really important and precious because we're going too fast. And that's been one of the benefits, I guess, of retiring early, is that I've been able to take my foot off the throttle a little bit and slow right down. Well, not even a little bit, massively off the throttle and slow right down. I'm sat in our camper van at the moment, and this is my relaxing place. This is my happy place. This is where I feel an immediate sense of calm whenever I come in here. And I think that is how I feel about my older age. It feels like there's a slowing down, a sense of calm, whereby, yes, time is running out. So stop rushing through it and start enjoying the present moments, those little joyous moments that aren't huge. They're not the big moments in life. They're the little things like spotting a butterfly on the windowsill and letting it out and knowing that you've given it its freedom back, or walking through the woods and seeing the spring flowers starting to come out, or listening to the birds. We were away at the weekend in our camper van, and we woke up in the middle of nowhere and all we could hear were magpies chattering. And I even said to Mark, what kind of birds are they that I can hear? And he said he thought they were magpies. So I did a bit of Googling, and we could hear the magpies chattering, and we could hear other birds whistling and singing. And it was just that moment of pure magic when we couldn't hear traffic and we couldn't hear other people. It was so serene, and all we could hear, there was a little bit of a breeze, we could hear the trees, the leaves rustling, and we could hear the birds singing. And just taking a bit of time and having the time, I guess, to appreciate those little moments of joy, I think is something that I didn't have really when I was younger. I probably did. That's a bit silly to say. I could have taken those moments, but the truth is I didn't. And now as I'm getting older and I feel like I've got more time and more patience and the ability to just slow down and enjoy the moment, it's huge. It is huge, and it's one of those unexpected sides of retirement and getting older that I wasn't expecting. Just having, I don't know, a bit more confidence now, I think, to be myself and not put on a show for other people. I haven't got this nailed. I haven't got it fully nailed, and I'm not sure that I ever will, but I'm much better at checking myself doing it. I think I mentioned on a video recently that I was going to see a friend, and my first thought was, I wonder what she'll be wearing. And in my mind, I was going to try and match what I would wear to what I thought she would wear. And I'm better at catching myself doing this. But I don't want to be a chameleon anymore. I don't want to be somebody that I'm not. I'm happy as I'm getting older to just embrace me for who I am. And I'm wearing corduroy dungarees. Trying to do that without spitting. I'm wearing corduroy dungarees, and I would never have worn corduroy dungarees, but I'm comfortable and I like them. I'm wearing corduroy dungarees, Skechers, and a French, I don't know what you call that kind of, is it a Breton striped top, and a gilet, and I would never have worn this kind of outfit when I was younger. I don't know why, nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't me, because I didn't know anybody else who would have dressed like this. So I wouldn't dress like this. I hope to God this is making sense and doesn't make me sound like a complete idiot. But as I get older, I think it's just lovely to not care so much about trying to fit in and be like other people. Just being myself and doing things for me, I just think is fabulous, and it's not something that I kind of expected. I'm definitely more confident, as I've already said. I definitely think, I'm not talking about external confidence, because I think I've always probably come across as being externally confident, and I am confident externally, but I didn't have an inner confidence. I didn't have that self-assurance that type of internal confidence that I feel like I've got now that I'm older. I don't care if I don't turn heads anymore. And I genuinely thought I would. That was one of my biggest fears, was that I wouldn't feel attractive as I got older. And it doesn't bother me as much as I thought. It really doesn't. As long as Mark still finds me attractive, I'm happy. You know, I don't need to turn heads. I don't need to have that sense of validation from external sources that I'm an okay looking person. It doesn't, you know, I just don't need it anymore. And in some ways, that being invisible, I know lots of women talk about feeling invisible as they get older. If that's the invisibility of not turning heads as you walk down the street, I'm up for it. I am up for it, because it just makes life feel a little bit easier. Okay, one of the hardest things I think has been my body changes. And I'm not just talking about, you know, certain bits heading south or getting a bit saggier. I think that's kind of inevitable, but one of the things that did worry me and still does worry me is a lack of mobility. I definitely find it harder these days to get up and down off the floor. You know, I can still get up and down, but I find kneeling quite hard because I have arthritic knees. But I've also found that I'm losing some strength in my legs. I tried to get up onto, climb up onto quite a high bar stool this morning to get something off the top of a wardrobe. And in the past, it would have been easy for me to step up onto this quite high step. And I really struggle, and it knocked my confidence a little bit today. And that does concern me a little bit as I get older, but that's within my control because I'm still fit enough and mobile enough to be able to do something about it. And it was a little bit of a trigger warning this morning to put a bit more emphasis on strength, because we've done lots of walking recently, so my aerobic fitness is getting better. But I've always done some sort of strength training, whether that was through circuit training or weight training, and I've kind of let it go. And we've got a gym. I have access to a gym, a home gym. I could join a local gym, and I'm not doing it. So actually, I'm going to say it here, hold myself accountable. I'm going to start doing more strength training, because that really caught me out this morning, that my leg strength was going, and that's something I don't want in my older age. Looking forwards, not backwards. I did a video quite recently about not having regrets, and I stand by everything I said in that video. But I think when I was younger and I thought about getting older, I think I was always looking kind of, what do I need to be doing that I haven't done? And now, as I'm sort of retired and I've got hopefully 25, 30, 35, who knows, years ahead of me, I don't want to be spending time kind of thinking about the past. I want to be focused on what's coming next. What can I look forward to? And for me, a lot of that is about travel and spending more time with Mark, spending more time with family, but definitely travel and doing things that I haven't done before. Do you know what? I was thinking about this morning. What I would really love, I haven't even mentioned this to Mark yet, would be to buy a really old, small camper van. Not a big one like this. This is great for Mark and I when we go away, but I would just love to buy a really old, classic type camper, not quite a VW, you know, the traditional VW camper, but something of that sort of size that needed a lot of TLC to bring it up to speed. I would love to just do that as a project. I've been thinking about things I want to do, but to buy something, you know, that is, I don't know, 40 years old, 35, 40 years old, and maybe reupholster it and make it all quirky inside. I think that would be brilliant. Anyway, I've got a bit off topic here. In the past, I saw older age as being the start of the end, and it's really interesting because now I see it as the start of a new beginning, time to try new things without the constraints of work pressures and, you know, the go. Just having, the freedom now to try and do new things, have new adventures and the possibilities, and not see it as, oh, you know, I'm over the hill, this is the end of life as I know it. It is the end of life as I know it, but I'm not sure that my younger life was all that. It was busy, it was hectic, it was stressful. Maybe, you know, this start of the new life is going to be a little bit more slow-paced and a little bit more mindful and a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more rewarding and a little bit more positive than maybe my younger self gave it credit for. I'm looking forward to it. What about you as you're getting older? Do you fear it? Does it scare you? Or are you thinking, actually, no, this is a doorway to new opportunities? I think it's always good to think more positively, isn't it? I don't think for 1 minute retirement is going to be all rainbows and unicorns, but getting older definitely feels more optimistic than it did when I was younger. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button for me. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, it just helps the YouTube algorithm to really kind of understand what kind of people like my content. And if you have liked it, another little indicator for YouTube is if you hit the thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate that. If you haven't looked at some of my other videos recently around my early retirement journey, please do jump onto this playlist where I've got a number of different videos that you might find interesting. Other than that, do say goodbye. Take care.